Well, let's get back to that fight over parental rights. You know we have parental rights. Well, it's making all the way now its way to the U.S. Supreme Court. Maryland parents brought the case. They want to be able to opt their children out of certain lessons focused on gender and sexuality. The high court seems ready to side with the parents. Now, we don't know exactly what they'll do, but there are signals of that from experts we're talking with. And they say their rights were violated when schools in a district in Maryland reversed the opt-out policy, which meant every kid in the classroom had to be exposed to it. The books in question include one titled Uncle Bobby's Wedding that features a gay couple, another titled Born Ready about transgender identity. Even a top teacher union leader, Randy Weingarten, seems conflicted over this.
Parents have rights, and they should have rights in terms of what is being taught in classrooms. And, and we're going to have to actually deal with how we ensure that kids have a safe and welcoming environment. I think that this will be shocking to you. These would not be the books I would be reading as a classroom teacher to kids who are 4 to 6 years old.
Justices Kagan and Kavanaugh are often on opposite sides. However, this time they found some common ground.
These are, young kids, picture books, and on matters concerning sexuality. I suspect there are a lot of non-religious parents who weren't all that thrilled about this.
Maryland was founded on religious liberty and religious tolerance. I guess I'm surprised, given that this is the hill we're going to die on in terms of not respecting religious liberty, given that history.
I want to point out what Justice Kagan said. And remember, she doesn't normally side with conservatives on that panel of high court. She said picture books when she was speaking. Yeah, that's because they want to do this in kindergarten for children who are not reading really big words yet. So they're just going to give them picture books and tell them about gender and sexuality and so on and so forth. A ruling on this case is expected by the end of June. Our own Jonathan Turley says this.
Many of us are mystified by the action of this school district. And I think this was a very good day for parents, not just in Maryland, but around the country. The hope of many of us is that the court will not just reaffirm their rights as a religious freedom matter, but as a direct parental rights matter.
Billy Moges, director of Children First and a Montgomery County parent. Colten Stanberry, counsel at the Becket Fund for Religious Liberty. Look, Billy, I'm curious, when you look at this for children as early as kindergarten, I don't understand why this is even a thing. Your thought?
It is surprising. It is shameful. This is not just in kindergarten, actually. It starts in pre-K, and they teach these books and discuss the topics. It's not just a picture book. And you have to understand, these are 3-4-year-olds and then kindergarten and elementary schoolers who do not know the meanings of these words. Mm-hmm. So the teacher then has to engage in defining these words, explaining these words, and normalizing something that is not true. They're misleading our children, and it is disturbing. It is a dangerous downhill that they're heading our kids, and they expect parents to just sit and accept this and, be okay with it. And we're saying we're not.
You're absolutely not. And with it, just one more question for you, Billy. By not being silent, do you think you make a big difference for other parents across the country who are watching this?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think this is just a Montgomery County issue. This is an issue for every kid in every county in every state all over the nation. Parents are scared. Some are not speaking because they're scared of losing a job. They're scared of not being able to provide for their families. But they're torn apart between providing for a family to survive life and guarding their children. God gives us the right to guard and guide our children. And they're not able to do that because we're being forced and bullied into teaching children without protection. Parents are not notified about when this is being read, and counties saying that the officials we pay to serve us and our children are telling us that we have no right in knowing what is being taught and that we can't opt out our children, and that's just not acceptable.
Billy, you talked about faith there and the responsibility and the expectation that the Lord has for us as parents. Colten, you are counsel at the Becket Fund for Religious Liberty. This is maybe starting there, and now it's migrating to what all parents may feel regardless of their faith. But let's keep it in the faith lane and get your reaction to this.
Yeah, I thought yesterday was a really good day at the Supreme Court. I think, you had the justices clearly engaging with the contents of the books, which is unfortunate for the other side because, like you said, Harris, we're talking about books for, you can start in pre-K in Montgomery County as young as 3. So we're talking about a 3-year-old reading a book about a puppy that gets lost at a pride parade that has an I Spy section at the end of the book that asks the kid to go back and look for drag queen, leather.
Wow.
You don't have to be religious to see these are inappropriate materials, and it's a common sense proposition that parents should be able to take their kids out of the classroom.
In that lane, do you think this is a victory potentially for the faith?
I absolutely do. I think any time the Supreme Court vindicates religious people's rights to exist in a pluralistic society, it's a win for the faith.
Good to see you both. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.